Well, that was spooky. For more of that, subscribe to the Legion.
Written and directed by Kalani Hubbard, who also has a small cameo in the movie. We are talking Ghost Punchers. Now, the question is, do you like anime? If you do, then you might like this movie. It isn't anime, but it's clearly inspired by anime and manga, and it's very much the style, and we'll talk a little bit about that again in a second. But let me tell you about the story. So it focuses on this guy who is a kind of fast food delivery person, and he ends up going to this house which looks like it has a ghost in it, and he actually, because he works for a fast food place, ends up having some garlic on him, and this appears to basically disrupt this ghost, and he's then recruited to this organisation called the Ghost Punchers, and they initially think it's his brother because his brother is a decorated military officer and they have the same initials, but he's not. He's just a delivery guy, and but he's recruited anyway and ends up kind of being partnered with this young woman who appears to be an embodiment of a nightmare, and the pair of them go off to try and punch ghosts, and various misadventures happen. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let's discuss. Now, it might sound like a horror comedy, but it's a very light in regards to the horror. I would suggest, who is this movie for? So let's talk about that first of all. I would say this is a movie for Gen Alpha or young Gen Z. It's obviously skewing quite young. So me as a ripe old Gen Xer, I'm trying to have to look at this movie in the prism of who it's actually aimed at. And obviously it's aimed at a much younger audience than me, but I want to try and be fair to the movie that it's trying to be. So we're looking at this at the prism of the audience is clearly meant to be younger. So does it serve that audience is the next question. Now, on the plus side, it starts off pretty much straight away. Now, young people, it's fair to say, might not have as much of an attention span as the ripe old Gen Xers in the midst. So straight away, this movie is, it kind of gets in with this a ghost encounter more or less straight away. So we straight away have stuff kind of going on screen. The whole presentation, as I say, has this anime feel to it. When they're in this kind of ghost punchers society, they're wearing this kind of what looks like a Japanese school uniform, very much straight out of many kind of anime. So again, that has that look. And when they have these kind of powers that they use, and they're kind of like I don't know what. Super duper punch and things like that when they're kind of saying like punching stuff and light balls and all the rest of it. So it kind of feels like an anime transposed into live action. Now I don't think this is an anime. This isn't based on an anime. It's its own thing. It's an original IP, but it's clearly influenced. At one point, they even tried to paper over this kind of a hole with like a anime poster, and they even say, "Oh, this is this person from this particular anime." So it was clear that the team behind this are very much into that kind of stuff, and I think it's trying to serve that audience. And in some respects, I think it does very much feel like this kind of hyperactive, kind of larger than life characters. Everyone's kind of got the cute little outfits on and all of the rest of it. So I think that's it would certainly appeal to that, and I think the pace of the movie as well is one which is more of a things are often happening on screen. Lots of over the top kind of characters and caricatures, and we meet other kind of agents in this kind of ghost puncher society, and one's like a succubus who's constantly trying to seduce everyone around her and stuff like that. So it does have a degree of kind of like of sexiness, but it's fair to say that anime tends to have that kind of element to it as well, at least in some iterations. So there's definitely that element to it as well. The special effects are all kind of bright, sort of colours and visuals and stuff. It's a cheaper movie. It's a low budget movie, but I still think it has some reasonable kind of like light up effects and stuff like that. The characters are all kind of likeable characters, and as I say, somewhat cartoonish in their nature, but I think they're likeable for what it's kind of trying to do. The story itself is very light, really. There's not like end of the world stakes or anything like that. It's all quite a light story where our main kind of couple of ghost punchers are just trying to track down this woman that's possessed and by a ghost, and she has these kind of powers. She's trying to open up portals of the ghost realm and all the rest of it. But it's very much kind of relatively kind of low stakes. There's some comedic moments in it. There's just kind of like fourth wall breaks and stuff where our female operative, who's like a living nightmare, is almost kind of has this kind of like Deadpool-like fourth wall breaks and stuff like that. So I think there's stuff to enjoy, certainly for a younger audience, and even me as someone of my age. I didn't think it was a terrible movie by any stretch. It wasn't something I would necessarily want to watch more of or watch again, but I didn't think it was unwatchable by any kind of means. What doesn't work? Okay, so do younger people pay much attention to B movies? I don't know if they do. I mean, research shows that young people don't watch as much films as older generations. They prefer more short-term or short-form entertainment, TikTok and things like this. And even when they do watch films, I don't know if there's a huge audience for kind of low-budget stuff. And I would say, although this movie does have some fun, like light-up special effects, there's nothing sort of especially like jaw-dropping on display here. It's just kind of like lots of whizzy light effects and things like that, but there's nothing really kind of like spectacular on screen. If you're wanting any type of depth of character, everyone here feels like a kind of cartoon character, and some things feel like half-baked. Like there's kind of like this romantic subplots here. So we have our main guy, who's this delivery guy, and he's partnered with this female operative who's, we're told, is like a living embodiment of a nightmare. We don't know how that's come about. It's just a girl who has some type of powers, but she's a living embodiment of a nightmare. That's all you need to know. Okay, fine, let's move on. And the movie suggests she has feelings for him. And although he's kind of obviously builds a relationship with her, he ends up deciding he fancies this other girl, the one who's possessed. But that really isn't set up. I mean, we don't know, we don't even really see this girl until she's like fully possessed. But we're just told, oh yeah, I've loved you for ages. And well, that seems sort of super convenient and stuff. And that's never like built up. So there's elements here where I just feel like it's hastily put together and hasn't done the work in regards to the writing. So it's all very kind of surface level in regards to plot, and that's just an element in regards to this kind of the romantic kind of subplot there. I think some of our other characters seem very kind of like just caricatures really, and never really feel like real people. The look of this Ghost Puncher Society is a little bit maybe too goofy for some. It looks like Tron World in there. Again, it's some fun zingy visuals, but it doesn't really have any practical applications and things like that. And there's not really a villain in this movie, and I think that's maybe one thing it could have done. Is have a genuine antagonist. We have this kind of girl that is possessed, but that's it. The ghost that's possessing her has no personality at all, and no kind of big threat. It just feels like once she's possessed, we know nothing about that spirit. So it's again, there's areas here where I feel it's lacking in, and it does have a low budget feel to it. Overall, though, it's hard to judge. As I say, Gen Alpha and Gen Z, if they would like it. I think if they are not, they're not opposed to watching a lower budget movie, I would suggest maybe they would find some enjoyment in this and kind of enjoy some of the anime-esque visuals. And as such, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What were your thoughts? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Anime Lisa Loves thinks subscribing is a great idea.